Hello and welcome back to your Sunday night show with your host Usman Akhtar on Link FM. So today's show is going to be kind of similar to last week, sadly, mainly because we are going to be talking about racism in football again. You know, to be honest with you, I was hoping last week was the last time I speak about it, but you know, with the Kean situation, sadly, like I said, it has happened again, so we need to discuss that in a bit more further detail. So that's something we will discuss. Minor Star, of course, like every week, we'll be talking about the Premier League results and just looking forward into the future itself. So the games coming up, so the Champions League in this case. So there's a couple of decent games, if you're not aware, in the Champions League. But first and foremost, just want to say, if you are new here, if you listen to this on the radio and you want to get yourselves involved, by all means feel free to go to Facebook, type in Link FM and you can join us live. So what that means is you can comment on the you know, any of the things that I talk about, any of the topics, and I will be able to read them out live on air. So yeah, so pretty straightforward. If you want to get yourselves involved, if you agree with something I'm saying, disagree with something I'm saying, by all means let me know and I'll read them out. Anyways, first and foremost, just want to quickly start with a special shout out to my good friend Kean. As some of you may or may not know, I ran the Sheffield Marathon last year and I know how difficult it is personally, but Kean somehow was not deterred from the fact he ran the Sheffield Marathon last year, and he did actually run the Manchester Marathon today. So I just want to give him a massive shout out. If I'm not mistaken, I believe he ran in aid to raise money for the Royal Manchester Children's Hospital. Of course, they do fantastic work within the vicinity of Manchester, you know, supporting kids within that area of any illnesses and just making their life a little bit better, so to speak. So massive shout out to you, mate. I appreciate that, and everybody else who ran the Manchester Marathon as well. Huge shout out to you guys as well. Anyways, like I said, first and foremost, to be honest with you, after last week's show, I wasn't really wanting to talk about racism again. To be honest with you, I wasn't expecting to talk about racism again, let alone a week later. So it's getting a bit ridiculous now. However, we have to discuss it because it is an important topic, first and foremost, and secondly because it's so prominent at the moment, not just at the highest level, but at grassroots. There was an incident, I think, with the Derby County player as well. If I'm not mistaken, I do apologise for I don't remember his name. But was it Brentford? It might have been Brentford. I think Chris Kamara was covering the game, so he was discussing how there was a racial incident in that game as well. But we will have to cover that another time. But for today, we're going to cover the Kean incident. For those of you that do not know, Moise Kean is a winger. I think he's 19 now. He was 18. Yeah, so he's 19 now. So yeah, long story short, plays for Juventus. He's a winger. He's up and coming. He's not really you know, established player by all means. I have mentioned him a couple of weeks ago on the international break because he started to play quite well for on the international stage as well for Italy. If I'm not mistaken, he just made his first debut for his country, getting an assist, and in the game after he got his first ever goal for his international team, which is of course Italy. Again, he's been very good for Juventus this season. Basically a breakthrough season. Long story short, he was playing against Cagliari. I probably pronounced that wrong, but you know which team I'm referring to. I think it was on Tuesday. He scored to make it 2-0, to which was obviously a good moment for him. But sadly, again, the Italian fans booing him, and on top of that, giving him monkey chance. To which, to be fair to him, I've got to give him credit where it's due and respect him even more. He stood there, he took it. You know, he took the racial abuse, etc., which isn't something that a player should be, you know, having to deal with, let alone someone of that age. He stood there and took it, and then after the game, which, to be fair, he obviously dealt with it in the best way he thought was possible. To me, to be honest with you, the situation got worse after the game when Bonucci came out and said what he said. Basically, Bonucci coming out and saying, you know, it was 50-50 responsibility. You know, he was to blame as well for the racism, which, to be honest with you, is an absolute disgrace. Basically, it's absolutely disgusting comment from Bonucci, especially someone of a senior, you know, authority within the Italian, you know, setup in general, the Italian national team, and obviously at Juventus, he's a very much established player, you know, massively renowned for his ability as a defender. But for him to come out and say something like that straight after the game is absolutely disgraceful. You know, look, at the end of the day, we don't really know what people's true intentions are. We don't know what people's true beliefs are. But for him to come out and publicly say it's his fault as well, so he basically said it just showcased himself as a racist, in my personal opinion. Obviously, We can only go on what he said. If it was misinterpreted, I do apologize. But from what he has said, I know he's come back and apologized and tried to go back in his word. But for me personally, he's what, 34. He should know better. He should know exactly what he's saying. He's fully media trained. He hasn't got really much of an excuse, for me personally. For him to come out and say those comments is absolutely disgraceful. I don't know how his teammate would have reacted behind closed doors. Kean, on the other hand, come out and showed his leadership and said, look, this is not accepted, which is what you would expect and what I would expect from Bonucci. However, that was not the case, obviously, in his situation, so to speak. But yeah, so on top of that, so you've got Bonucci coming out and saying that, which is one of your senior players in the dressing room, someone you would probably look up to in these situations. We spoke last week about how Hudson and Doy look to the more senior pros, such as Danny Rose and Sterling, for some sort of guidance within this situation when he was racially abused against Montenegro. In this case, it doesn't seem like Kean's got the same support from his peers. Obviously, this isn't the case for all players. Ronaldo, Blaise Matuidi, etc. have come out with the support, which is what you would expect. But on top of that, Allegri also coming out and saying something after the game. Basically, this is what Allegri said. I'm gonna read it for the actual quote, which is what I've got. We are professionals. We have to set the example and not provoke anyone. So that's what the manager said after the game. So on top of what Bonucci said, that is what the manager said. So just to repeat that, we are professionals. We have to set the example and not provoke anyone. First and foremost, I agree with what he's saying as a standalone comment, but in this context, oh my god, how has he said that in this context? I think that is just an absolute joke. So basically what he's saying is, it's his fault, so you can't provoke the fans. How is he provoking the fans? By his skin color? I don't understand. I literally cannot understand how he provoked the fans. And what way did he provoke the fans? So you're telling me he's not allowed to jeer the fans, or he's not allowed to stand in front of the fans or do skills or whatever it may be with that in his head that provoked the fans? I just think it's an absolute joke. There's no he provoked the fans. It's just pure racism. There's no middle ground here. It's racism. It's as simple as that. And Allegri coming out and saying that is an absolute joke for me personally. This isn't the first time there has been racial incidents within the Italian league, and I'm not here trying to say, oh, Italians are racist. Of course they're absolutely not, but this isn't a first time thing. This is a repetitive thing that happens consistently in Italy. I've mentioned on previous show, it's more of a systematical issue, with the sort of political background and that kind of thing. So basically the political stance within that country towards ethnics. You see with Balotelli, he's extradited from the international team, and even when he has played, he's been booed by his own fans. He's been thrown bananas by his own fans. This is after he scored goals for the Italian national team. The Italian fans are still ridiculing him for the color of his skin, which is an absolute joke. For me personally, if this continues, I just think severe punishment has to happen. Obviously I will talk about that in a bit more detail, but Football Against Racism in Europe, also known as FAIR, the main governing body within Europe, of course. Basically, long story short, they're our equivalent of Kick Out. So they cover all the incidents within Europe. They have come out and said basically what I've just said. It's a product of a xenophobic political environment. Again, coming back to the society issue. At the moment, if I'm not mistaken, obviously don't quote me on this because I don't know a lot about Italian politics, but I believe the politician currently is like a left-wing politician. So basically what I'm trying to say is he is instilling these sort of notions that, not to say racism is acceptable, but he's not basically going against racism. He's basically like accepting it in a sense. I just kind of contradicted myself, but to be quite frankly honest with you, he's kind of accepting it. He's basically like EDL, but in Italy. Anyways, so yeah, that's my personal opinion on it. I don't know what you guys think. Feel free to let me know if you're watching this on Facebook Live. Obviously, just leave your comments. I'll read some out. We have got one question here from Sardar Shoaib. Bonucci has lost all respect and I think he should be sacked from the team. Absolutely agree with that, Sardar. For me personally, it's very similar to the Suarez incident in the sense that he's quite clearly racist. He's come out and said something racist. In Suarez incident, obviously it had to be proven guilty, but this incident, Bonucci has openly said something racist. Allegri as well, for me personally, I think ramifications need to be put on both of them. It's very difficult to sack the manager on the basis of this, especially someone of Allegri's stature. So that's something I don't think Juventus will go to those lengths. Bonucci is a snake anyways, because you know, he left to AC Milan for a season and came back. For me personally, I don't think Bonucci should be playing for Juventus. I 100% agree with you. He should be sacked. Will it happen? Absolutely not. Like I said, the Italian national team, the Italian media, the Italian fans, they tend to be quite racist. I've got to be quite honest with you. Of course, this is only a small percentage of Italian fans, and we can't, you know, paint them all with the same brush. However, this is not the first incident that has occurred within Italian soil. This is one of many. Let me give you another example of when racism occurred in the Italian soil. Kevin Prince Boateng, who was at the peak of his sort of power, so to speak, when he was at AC Milan, he's been a fantastic player for most of his career, but when he was at AC Milan, he was a very good player, I've got to say. He was playing in a friendly game for AC Milan against, let me just quickly get the team name, it is Pro Patria. Again, I apologize for pronunciations, I'm not Italian. Yeah, so he's playing against them in 2013, and again, he was subject of abuse of monkey chants. Like I said, this is not the first time it has happened. However, in this case, it was, if I'm not mistaken, I think it might have been the first time that the game was actually abandoned because Kevin Prince Boateng walked off the pitch, which was, for me personally, the right thing to do. He walked off the pitch and then he was followed by his teammates, the referee, etc. The game was abandoned. Obviously, in a friendly situation, this is more easily done because it's just a friendly and doesn't really have any bearing on any sort of results, you know, in the table, of course. So it's quite easy to do it. So for me personally, I think it's important that the sort of circumstances are greater. So if someone was to do something that is racially abusing someone, the circumstances, the ramifications have to be a lot greater. I did mention this last week, and I have had a thought, you know, I've had a think about it. A couple of managers have come out and spoken about it as well, so we'll touch upon what they've said. But for me personally, I think walking off the pitch is probably the right thing to do. We have had incidents such as Dani Alves, when he got thrown the banana on the corner flag when he was taking the corner. He took it upon himself to eat the banana, took the corner, they scored the goal. So there are different ways of individual players to dealing with it. However, you know, like with the Dani Alves incident is a complete polar opposite to what Boateng did. It does depend on the player as well and how they can mentally deal with it. You saw with Hudson-Odoi, he continued with the game. Sterling, he continued with the game. He scored as well, and then obviously he celebrated to say, look, I can't hear you guys anymore. Every player will deal with it a different way, but for me personally, this is when the authority has to come in and the referees need to step in and look and say, look, know what, if this continues, we're just going to abandon the game and we're going to walk off. That's the only way for me personally that we can actually see a change. And I think people might think, no, that's not going to make a difference, and I have got a few managers that do actually disagree with what I've just said. Pellegrini being one of them. He's saying that it's not the right thing for players to walk off the pitch. He understands the sentiment and he understands that huge ramifications need to be done. As Sardar says, UEFA needs to do more to stop these incidents. Again, I 100% agree with that and echo that. Pellegrini said that huge ramifications have to be done, but what other ramifications have we got really, apart from stopping the game, potentially point deduction, and to be fair, they're the only two that really going to have any sort of impact on the fans and the club itself. And I understand it's not fair if a small section of fans are ruining it for, like, obviously 99% of the fan base. I 100% agree with that. And obviously I support Man United, so if one Man United fan was being racist and it massively affected the whole of Man United and we got point deducted, of course I would be good. But at the end of the day, this is bigger than football. It's not about football for me personally. When we talk about racism, especially in this sort of context, it's more about the bigger picture and trying to send a message out. I said last week, what kind of messages is sent to youngsters, the next generation of footballers, if they're looking, especially if you're ethnic, you're looking to get into the game, you're thinking, why would I go into a game where I'm not even protected by the governing bodies? You know, there's players out here such as Kean, who's looking at like an unbelievable prospect for the future. He's getting racially abused, and his own player and his own manager coming out and standing against him and not backing him. So why would a young player who's ethnic, first and foremost, play in Italy, and second of all, look at football as a career? Yes, I understand there's so many perks, but if this continues in going in the manner in which it is, and it continues to grow in the speed that it is, you know, it's frightening to say the least. Why would future players look at this? They're not going to be protected. They're not going to feel that they're comfortable to go into this environment. But anyways, coming back to what Pellegrini said, he's basically said ramifications need to be massive. However, I don't agree with players walking off the pitch. I can understand what he's saying. Like I said, he was coming from the standpoint that it's going to be detrimental to too many people that have no agreements in first and foremost with what you know, the racism, and second of it is it's not fair on them basically. So for example, just say, I don't know, a dad who takes 3 of his kids to a game, you know, he travels, I don't know, 3 hours to get to the game, for example, and then the game's called off because one fan is racist. and it's fully called off. Everyone walks on the pitch. That dad with his 3 kids, all that money spent. So I can understand where he's coming from. However, for me personally, something drastic has to happen. Sardar has actually just put me on to my next point. He said Tottenham player Danny Rose thinking about leaving. This is exactly what I was just about to talk about. Thank you very much for that. Danny Rose coming out after the game, after the Kean incident. I will touch upon Sterling quickly, what he said actually. Sterling basically just shooting down Bonucci's comments and just laughing at it, saying, wow, this is just getting ridiculous. It's laughable now that Bonucci can say stuff like this. And obviously Sterling and Danny Rose were the 2 players that helped Hudson and Doy. Danny Rose, on the other hand, compared to Sterling, has had the complete flip reaction. Like I said, every player is different. You know, Dani Alves ate the banana, Boateng walked off. You know, who's to say what's the right way for a player to react in these situations? Anyway, so Danny Rose has threatened to leave the England national team, mainly because he's just sick of racism. Which basically comes back to what I said last week. It's not the first time this has happened. This is probably one of the first time it's been reported. I can guarantee there's been so many incidents, small subdued incidents that they've not discussed for whatever reason. You know, because it happens so frequently. You know, as someone who works within the football sector, I actually coach at lower levels, not to a high standard, but even I've been subject to racism. You know, stereotypical, oh, look at you, you're Asian, what you're doing playing football. You know, that's a stereotypical comment, that's racism. You know, it happens to us, sadly, that's just how it is. But anyways, coming back to Danny Rose and his comments, him saying he doesn't want to play football anymore because of it's getting that bad, he can't deal with it. It's quite sad. It's damning of the situation, to be quite frankly honest with you. However, it's good to see managers come out and give support, as well as other players. Obviously, like I said, Pogba's come out, who's obviously quite, well known, has a big audience, that kind of thing. He's come out and given his support, not just Danny Rose, obviously, Kean and Blaise Matuidi, etc., those who were incident. But Pep Guardiola came out in response, so to speak, to Danny Rose, basically saying, we're playing you next week. I'm going to speak to him on the pitch, off the pitch, whatever it may be, saying stay in the game. Whatever you do, don't give up. You know, it's good to see Pep Guardiola say those kind of comments. You know, he's basically said he needs to stay and fight, and I 100% echo that sentiment. It's important that players like Danny Rose, Sterling, continue to push the notion of racism in football, and continue to talk about it openly and challenge people, because at the end of the day, if they don't challenge people, how is there ever going to be a change? Just regarding other incidents that this is a bit off topic, but it's a similar principle. Muhammad Ali, one of the greatest boxers of all time, if not the greatest, I've read his biography, and he clearly states in his biography he wanted to become a boxer because he wanted to stand up for black rights within the 70s, 80s, etc. So I know it's not on the same level, but if we look back on this moment in history in 15, 20 years time, Sterling and Danny Rose could be the ambassadors to fight racism in football. They are very much well-renowned footballers, in particular Sterling, of course, because of the season he's having. They have got the voice to speak out and obviously make a difference. That's the most important thing. And Pep Guardiola, just supporting that and echoing that. Obviously Sterling's his play, has to say that to an extent, but nevertheless he's come out, said the right things. Other managers such as Nuno, who is a Wolves manager, echoes that as well, and also as this is a collective fight. It's not just about the ethnic players, so to speak, talking about this. It's a collective, so everyone has to speak out. For me personally, the video about no racimo, whatever they say in Spanish, honest to God, it annoys me because it doesn't make any difference. Anyways, I've got a quick question about Sardar. He's told me to read this. It says it's irrelevant, but also mention our Asian people also have massive racism problems towards African people, which is very sad. 100% agree. This is the one thing that I don't like about this topic. A lot of people think racism is just white people, or white color skinned people, however you want to phase it, word it, so to speak. So people will just look at that. Is Asian people are racist to Africans, not necessarily Africans, but some ethnic minority groups are also racist to other ethnic minority groups. I'm not saying it doesn't happen within those fractures as well. It happens in all walks of life. Asian people are quite racist. I've got to say, I'm Asian, so I can vouch for it. I'm not racist, by the way, just throwing that out there. But I have sadly heard a lot of people in the Asian community being racist to people in the black community, and and vice versa, and it's not acceptable as well. I know we're not talking about cricket cricket, but it happens a lot in cricket where Asian people definitely look down upon other people, so black people, white people, etc., say they can't play the sport, and it happens everywhere. It's not just, you know, ethnic minorities who are, you know, subject to racism. It does happen in other sectors as well. Okay, Keishan's quickly put, Spurs new stadium is beautiful. I can concur. Like I already said, people, Keishan ran the half marathon today in Manchester, so if you guys do want to, you know, show him some love and donate. I need to donate as well, Keisha. I know you listen to this. I will do so shortly, don't worry. If you do want to donate, I'm sure Keisha will probably leave his link in the comment section if you're watching this. He will be on the show in a couple of weeks, I would imagine, so we'll speak about it in a bit more detail on how you can donate. Just to remind you, all the money goes to Royal Manchester Children's Hospital. Do I really need to talk about it? Absolutely fantastic. You know, place of funding. Honest to God, like, they do amazing work. We've been there. I've been there myself. You know, I used to live quite close to the hospital. They're just outstanding. The work that they do. The kids are so cute. So if you want to donate, by all means, feel free to hit Keishan up. Like I said, he will be on the show in a couple of weeks, so I'm sure he'll give us a bit more details on how to do that. Oh, he's dropped his Just Giving page, which is fantastic. So if you're listening to this on the radio and you do want to donate right now, if you go into the comment section of the Facebook live page, you can donate right now to Keishan's page. Like I said, all the money goes to the hospital, the children's hospital. It's an unbelievable cause. Anyways, we will give more details in a couple of weeks as well. Anyways, coming back to the football quickly, just to quickly sum up on the racism sort of topic. You know, Sterling again coming out saying it's a lack of education. At the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. You know, I've said already with the Italian, you know, situation, it comes down to a lack of education. It comes down to the systematical issues within the country itself. You know, there's only so much you can do on the football pitch, but it's important that the players such like Cristiano Ronaldo, the Lionel Messi, these players that actually do something. And I'm not just picking on them. There's other players obviously that need to do something, but the reason them in particular, because they have the opportunity or they have the power to, you know, inspire the next generation. Like I said, the next generation of kids, they're going to be looking at this era and thinking, look, there's so many racial incidents at the moment, what the hell is going on? No ramifications are happening, so clearly it's not a big deal. That's one side of it, and the other side of it is ethnic kids who are wanting to get in the game. They might look at it and think, you know what, I don't want to be a part of this, because at the end of the day I've got no protection and it seems that people are just getting away with racially abusing me, and I don't want to be you know, dealing with that. So there's two sides of it. The reason Ronaldo and Messi, like I've already said, they are massive global figures, not just in football. Every sport, every sports person, they know who Ronaldo is. It's without mistake, and they also know who Messi is. It's the same with basketball players. When they did the kneel, you know, to show their support, the NFL players, American football players that did the, you know, kneeing, you know, the knee, basically took a knee. It's similar to that. Okay, so just to give a bit of information regarding the second half of the show, we'll go through the games. Of course, I know I've spoken about racism a lot, basically the whole half show, because it's an important sector. So the next half of the show, we're going to talk about all the predictions for the weeks. The Champions League game, of course, Man United playing Barcelona. That should be fun to talk about. Just going to quickly wrap up, you know, all the games that have just happened. So this Premier League game, Arsenal, you know, just if there's any Arsenal fans, cheers, boys. You're just giving us a bit of hope, losing to Everton. But yeah, so we'll go through all the games, and of course, yes, I will talk about Man United losing to Wolves. Don't worry, I'm not going to avoid that topic. And yeah, so just going to go through all the games, so obviously stay tuned. Just to quickly finish on you know, this sort of topic itself, some of the other managers who've come out and just said, look, we do you know, respect Raheem Sterling, we do respect Danny Rose, and their personal sort of opinions on this matter, but it's important that not just these players stand up. It's important that, you know, the Premier League do more. And for me personally, at the end of the day, just coming back to what Sardar said, Bonucci, for me, he should be sacked. Straight honest. I don't know what you guys think about that, but that's all I'm going to say. That's just to conclude basically this topic. Bonucci, sack him. Allegri, I don't know what to do with him, but sack him as well, just for the sake of it. Anyways, I'll be back in a few talking Premier League games and future games coming. Peace. Hello and welcome back to your Sunday night show with your host Usman Akhtar. I do apologize, the mic was not working, so that was a waste of 5 minutes. Anyways, so quickly just to go over what I've just said. So basically, long story short, we had a few comments. You know, Rupert's basically saying that sack them both. So what I want you guys to do now is just get your comments quickly in the get your comments on Facebook. Well, just quickly sort the audio out. Will not be a second, just bear with me a moment. Okay, I think that's sorted now. Okay, so hopefully if you're watching on Facebook Live, you can just let me know if mic is working. Fingers crossed it is, because sadly something went wrong there. Okay, so yeah, just to quickly sum up, yeah, we're going to quickly talk about the Manchester United game first and foremost. Just want to quickly talk about Man United v Wolves. So Manchester United 1, Wolves 2. McTominay actually giving us the lead, which was, to be fair, well deserved. I've got to be honest with you, and that's not me being biased. I personally thought we were fantastic in that first 25-30 minutes. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer changing the system to 3 at the back, which for me personally paid a massive sort of dividends. I thought we were fantastic, like I said, in the first half. However, after they scored, which was a mistake by Fred, sadly, who I thought was playing quite well as well, we just kind of lost the sort of, you know, structure of the game. We kind of bottled it to an extent. I just think the players' heads went. I just think it's a bit weird, because I thought like I said, we were dominating the game. We had all the ball. We were controlling the game comfortably. And then all of a sudden we concede a stupid goal because we make a mistake. For me personally, it's two people's fault. First and foremost, of course, it is Fred's fault for the initial mistake. But De Gea, for me personally, can't be passing Fred the ball there. You know, obviously it looks like Fred wants it, but you never play that pass in the middle of the park unless you know that the person has got a second pass. So when Fred received the ball, yes, his touch needs to be better, but there wasn't really any options for him to go anywhere with that situation. So De Gea kind of put him in a position where he didn't need to be. So yeah, that was just one of those incidents. I just didn't personally think it was the right choice from De Gea. Nevertheless, Fred has to do a lot better. At the end of the day, it's his responsibility to control the ball. As a professional footballer, you can't be making mistakes like that, especially in that situation. So like I said, prior to the goal, we were absolutely bashing them. You know, we dominate the game. We looked comfortable. We looked like we were gonna, you know, get the second, the third, but it wasn't meant to be. Again, Wolves doing us over once again in the second half. You know, so many mistakes. You know, it's just leading to stupid goals. First and foremost, Ashley Young, what is he doing on the pitch? Getting himself sent off again. Just poor by Ashley Young. It's just not acceptable of someone of that sort of, not quality but experience, you know, to make such a stupid decision and go to ground when you're already on a yellow card. It's just silly. Now he's missing the next game. On top of that, Luke Shaw getting a stupid yellow card as well, which means he's now missing the next 2 games as well. So it was just you know, a lot of mistakes from our players, which could have quite easily been avoided. At the end of the day, a lot of people are saying Ole Gunnar Solskjaer isn't the right man for Man United. Well, it's a lot. Quite a few United fans, Rather fans, are saying that he's the right man. What can you do about that? Seriously, you dominate most of the game, you know, and then we just concede by 2 silly mistakes, which 100% can be avoided. This is not me making excuses for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because if Jose Mourinho was in this situation, would I be saying that? I personally think a lot of the players are not good enough. This is the bottom line, basically. A lot of the players are not good enough. I thought Lukaku and Lingard in particular were absolutely shocking. Yeah, I just don't know, honest to God. Lingard missing that absolute sitter. Lukaku missing that absolute sitter. You know, prior to the red card, Rupert just said it. We were, you know, it just didn't even feel like we had 10 men on the pitch, so it just proves how useless Ashley Young is. It's exactly the right point at the end of the day. Ashley Young, what does he actually offer? I'm trying to be, you know, political and politically correct, but I'm just gonna be blunt. Ashley Young, what do you offer, mate? Absolutely nothing. He plays that long ball down the right wing, and it just goes to the opposite team. That's all he does all game, and then he gets skinned. Anyway, Sardar is Paul Pogba leaving Man United for Real Madrid. First and foremost, my personal opinion on the whole situation is, if he just want to leave, let him leave. We've lost bigger players such as Ronaldo. Yes, I know this is a different situation. We do not have the players even remotely close to the caliber of Paul Pogba to replace him. So it's not as easy just letting him go, because we can, and we've done it in the past. So it's not the same. I'm not saying in that sense, but I just don't want players that who don't want to be there, who are going to potentially, you know, cause sort of disruptions in the dressing room. Because if anything, Solskjaer, what he has done is reignite the fire within the dressing room and brought the team together in unison, and that's something that's really important to me personally, and something that we have not done in the past enough. So for me personally, regarding Pogba, is he leaving? I think he probably wants to leave, to be fair to him. A part of me can't blame him, because the caliber of players around him, i.e. Jesse Lingard, no, not just Jesse, but some of the other players are not good enough basically to play for Man United, in my personal opinion. They're squad players at best, and I'm just going to leave it as that, because I speak about Jesse Lingard every single week. But yeah, so regarding Pogba, is he going to leave? I think he wants to, but I don't think the club will sell him. That's my personal opinion. I don't know what you guys think on that. Should he leave? That's a different story. Should we let him leave? That's a different story. I personally think if we get 150, 200 million for him, well, it has to be 200 million given how terrible our squad is, then I would probably accept it and just replace him with Coutinho and Verratti. That's personally what I would do. I don't know what you guys think. Anyways, moving on from Man United, because we can talk about them all day. Let's have a look. Who should we talk about? Should we talk about Arsenal? Let's talk about Arsenal. Let's cheer ourselves up. Let's talk about Arsenal against Everton. You know, first and foremost, shout out to the Blades players, okay? Jagielka, former Blade, getting the goal. I absolutely love. In fact, am I going to be non-biased on this show? Actually, I'll try to be non-biased. Jagielka, great finish, but Jagielka, and also another former Sheffield United player, Calvert-Lewin, absolutely running rings around Mustafi and Socrates prior the whole game. They were absolutely chasing shadows for most of the game. They couldn't keep up with his pace. He reminds me a lot of Marcus Rashford, I've got to say. He was absolutely class. If Richarlison on another day, if he played a bit better and his final ball and decision making was better, you know, Arsenal could have quite comfortably lost that 3-4-0, and I don't think the fans could actually argue with that because they got battered. I'm actually a bit shocked, I've got to be honest with you. I'm actually shocked how badly Everton outplayed Arsenal. I know it's only 1-0 and the scoreline doesn't suggest that, but if you watch the game, which I did actually, I watched the full 90 minutes, Everton was just hammering them like the whole game. You know, Emery, could you argue Emery got the wrong system? Kean just put Emery got it so wrong. I personally thought he got it wrong as well. When I saw the team now, I was absolutely baffled to see El Nani in the team over Ramsey. It was just a bizarre decision. I don't understand. I don't understand Ramsey. Why is he not? First and foremost, why are they selling him? Second of all, how is he not starting? It's unbelievable. Ramsey's quality. He saw straight away, I think it was at the 47th minute, he should have scored, Ramsey. Basically got knocked down to him. He had an open net. He side-footed it over the bar. He should be scoring that. But he makes that third-man run. You know, the run that you'd associate with Dele Alli, obviously the most famously known for Frank Lampard's movement. You know, that running behind, that third-man run to get into the box, unpicked up, late run, that kind of thing. Ramsey is a master at that run, and that's exactly what Arsenal are missing. Also, Aubameyang, what does Aubameyang need to do to start? I don't understand. He got benched by Mkhitaryan. Why is Aubameyang getting benched by Mkhitaryan? And before people say they're playing in a different position, no, they're not. He was playing a 3-5-2, if I'm not mistaken. Aubameyang could have quite easily partnered Lacazette up front with Ozil and Cam, but he decided to play, I think he played a 3-4-3, if I'm not mistaken, with Lacazette at the tip of you know, the front three, with you know, Ozil on the left and Mickey on the right. Why not put Aubameyang in there? I just don't understand. For me personally, was he trying to be too clever? I honestly think it's just ridiculous that Aubameyang didn't start. If I'm not mistaken, he got subbed on in his last game as well. Or was it? I'm pretty sure he got subbed on in his last game as well when they beat Newcastle 2-0 as well. So he's not tired. So it's just a bit ridiculous. Anyways, let's read some of your comments. Keishan's put, why is El Nene playing in starting 11 and why is Aubameyang on the bench? Exactly. Honestly, I can't believe it. It's a ridiculous thing. Sardara said, Arsenal is best, bruv. I'm assuming you spot Arsenal. Might win Champions League and Premier League next season, bruv. I'm assuming that's sarcasm. Honestly, if it's not, I really do feel for you, bro. I really do. Yeah, so regarding Arsenal, obviously they've got Napoli next. We'll talk about that shortly. But yeah, just this game in isolation, they got absolutely battered. Like, seriously battered. Borderline embarrassing. It could have been 4-5-0. Mustafi, God knows he's got a World Cup medal to his name because he's absolutely shocking. Just want to quickly finish on 2 points. First, what do you guys think of Ozil throwing his coat to Emre? What is that about? Why is Ozil throwing his coat at Emre? I don't understand. First and foremost, he's giving the captaincy. You've got to be, you know, set an example for the younger players like Nels and, you know, whoever else is in the dressing room. You can't be doing things like that. I don't care if you're upset you get subbed off. These players need to, you know, show a bit of professionalism. It's absolutely embarrassing that he's done that. That's my personal opinion. And second thing, how much do you think you're going to miss Socrates? Arsenal are now without Socrates for 2 games, I believe, because he's got a second yellow card. Very similar to what happened with Luke Shaw, what I mentioned earlier. Because I've got 10 yellow cards this season, it means that they missed 2 games. I can't remember who Arsenal's next 2 games are off the top of my head. I believe they've got, I know Palace is one of them, so Wilfred Zaha hopefully will have a field day on that day. Anyway, so moving on from Arsenal, we will talk about, let's quickly just wrap up Spurs, because obviously Spurs going into a new stadium, Son getting the first ever goal in the new stadium, and first and foremost, just want to talk about the stadium itself. Absolute thing of beauty. I've got to give credit. It's beautiful, isn't it? It's absolutely stunning. The football, on the other hand, was quite good, to be fair. I thought Spurs started the game fairly good. Kean in particular was fantastic. I know a lot of people probably haven't even noticed this. Well, they have noticed it, but they probably won't if they're looking at it stat-wise. I thought Kean was fantastic. You know, he was dropping into pockets of space, you know, linking the play fantastically well. It's just it's a perfect striker's performance. The only thing was missing was a goal. He did have that chance in the second half. We went through on goal and he tried to open his foot up and put it into top bins when he you know, blazed it over. I think that would have been, you know, the perfect sort of end to Harry Kane's game, because he did practically everything else. But regardless of that, I thought he was fantastic. Like I said, his link-up play, his positional sense, something Lukaku, of course, lacks massively. The ability to drop into pockets of space, spin, and find a pass. He was doing that throughout the whole game. I thought it was absolutely breathtaking. I've got to be honest with you, Spurs 100% deserved the win. I know the goals came fairly late into the second, well, I said fairly late. Son scored in the 55th minute, if I'm not mistaken. You know, they came in the second half. If you're looking at it half-wise, obviously they're nil at half-time. They were absolutely fantastic in the first half. They created so many chances. Quite easily in another game, they would have been 3-0 up at half-time. So by no means did they not deserve that win. Son, like I said, I absolutely love Son. Very well taken goal. Coming off from the right wing, putting it onto his left foot. A bit of a dodgy connection. I'm not sure if it took a deflection, but like I said, more than deserved to be ahead at that point. And Milivojevic, for the second time in the game, at fault for, well, first he got away with it the first time, but the second time he didn't get away with it. This time it went in. Yeah, so in that sense, Spurs 100% deserved it, and I think it was Eriksen who got the second goal, if I'm not mistaken, very late on to the goal. Yeah, it was Eriksen actually. When Harry Kane, again, like I said, he played well. He was running into the box. It looked like it was a penalty. I'm not sure what you guys think. He got taken out, fell to Eriksen, and he made no mistake about it. Just going to quickly read some of you guys' comments about this. Keishan's Port, Arsenal still got Wolves, Burnley and Leicester away. Will struggle, I reckon. I 100% agree with that. I've said it on the show before. Anyone that play away from home, they look suspect against. They've lost to Rennes away from home as well. They've lost to, did they lose to Borisov as well? Borisov as well away from home as well, if I'm not mistaken. They've lost to so many suspect teams away from home. So it'll be interesting to see how they get on against this team. Just regarding this Spurs in general, Keishan's Port, new stadium giving us momentum. I'm not sure about that. I think it's too early to say that. We'll have to see in a couple of games' time. Your next game is Man City in Champions League, so enjoy. And he's also put, if Sissoko could finish, he'd be world class. Yeah, no comment on that because he absolutely bottled it the other week. Anyways, Keishan's also put, who's your top 4 prediction? To be honest with you, I'm going to leave that to next week because I have got a Liverpool and Chelsea fan on next week's show, so I'll have a chat with them and see what they say as well, because I think it's just, it's very hard to call. Obviously, as a Man United fan, I'm going to have to stick with Man United and think that we'll still get there. But if you look at the fixtures, it's definitely not in our favour. That I'm not biased or deluded for that matter. But yeah, I'll talk about that one next week. And yeah, just moving on from Arsenal, we will talk about, let's quickly go over Man City against Cardiff, I believe. Not really much to talk about in this game, apart from Man City absolutely battering them. If they took the chances, it could have been 6-0, quite comfortably, to be honest with you. De Bruyne is scoring in the 6th minute, I believe. Quite a bizarre goal. Not bizarre, but it's a very acute angle. The keeper should never let it in near post. But like I said to you, it was just a matter of time, if not when. They were absolutely battering them, which is exactly what you expect. And the second goal coming from Sane, a very nice knockdown by Jesus, and Sane absolutely pinging his bottom corner on his favoured left foot. Fantastic finish as well from Sane, I've got to add. He's a quality player. Just quickly, just want to mention Phil Foden's name. He looks absolutely sensational. Man City get a lot of criticism for not you know, giving youth a chance or just spending a lot of money. I've got to say, with Phil Foden, they look like they've done something good there. He looks a quality talent, and he could be the person to replace David Silva in years to come. So I think he's definitely someone to look out for. I think everyone already knows that. Moving on to Liverpool. Liverpool beating Southampton 3-1. Goals come, well, Southampton scored first and foremost, making it 1-0. You know, I'm not going to lie, I was looking at this, and testament to Liverpool, this is all down to Liverpool. I was looking at it thinking, you know, the Liverpool still going to win this, even though they're 1-0 down. However, Shane Long, how did you not score the second goal? It gets played on across the line of goal, across the box. Shane Long, all he's got to do is tap it in, and he completely just messes it up. So that would have made it 2-0, and that would have been interesting. Liverpool's defending was massively suspect in this game, which would be a concern if I was a Liverpool fan, but I'm not, so I couldn't care less. Continued to be shocking. But yeah, fair play to Liverpool coming back from a goal down. Keita getting a goal, very important goal. Keita's not really featured much, so hopefully for him that will be the sort of confidence boost he needs, and he'd get more minutes. I don't really understand why Keita's not playing enough. I think Liverpool have been massively missing a midfielder to go in and join in on the goals, and I really expected Keita to be that person this season. So it's not really worked out for him. So potentially this could be a start of things to come in that sense. Also, Salah getting a goal. Again, Salah has been massively criticised this season for his lack of goals, which is ridiculous given how much he's actually scored. But for me personally, I said it last week and I'll say it this week again, Salah is ridiculously greedy at the moment. He said after the game, I'm a striker, all I want to think about is scoring. I completely respect that, and I respect the fact that he continues to go, and I've got to respect him for this goal. Pardon me, I've got to respect him for this goal because the composure first and foremost, right? To run that distance, yes, he was offside, but it's very much marginal, and you're not really going to spot that. It's very difficult. I probably would give benefit of doubt to the attacker. But he ran the full length of the pitch, well, half of the pitch. He could have quite easily bottled it and passed responsibility to Firmino. I know a lot of people are probably going to say he probably should have passed it, but he took the responsibility himself. He knew he's not in good form. He had an important sort of moment against Spurs as well, which led to the own goal by Alderweireld. But it's all about taking responsibility in moments like that. He could have quite easily passed that bid onto Firmino on his left foot. He may not have scored, but he took the responsibility and put it into the net. So we've got to give credit where it's due. Very late on into the game as well. I believe it was at the 83rd minute as well. So fair play to him. And Henderson coming off the bench, for me personally, he was fantastic. Provided a lot of energy, which is what was lacking from Liverpool. I don't think Liverpool played particularly well. I actually thought Southampton started a lot better. Well, obviously they got the goal, but even after that, I thought Southampton played fairly well. But Liverpool grew into the game after the first goal from Keita, and as you'd expect, they dominated after that point. And Henderson basically finishing off a very good counter-attack move. I think it might be second goal of the season or something. So he's not scored many goals, as you can probably tell by his celebration. That actually also means that Liverpool have actually won 16 points from losing positions this season, which is the most by any team in the Premier League, which obviously it just shows the character that they have, and also the mentality. That's why for me personally, just watching that game, watching the scoreline and watching the game itself, I wasn't thinking Southampton winning this. I'm thinking Liverpool are going to come back, and that's because they've done it time and time again this season. Kean's put Van Dijk best defender in the world in world football. For me personally, I've said on form he currently is. I know in the last two games he's been a bit suspect. He had that mistake in him against Fulham as well, when he nodded it back to Alisson as well. So lately he has been making a few mistakes. I wonder if that's down to pressure or not. We'll have to wait and see. But for me personally, I think on form he's definitely up there. I can't think of many better than him. It's definitely not Bonucci, is it, after his racial comments? It would not have been Bonucci before his comments, but now after his comments he can leg it. I don't know, what do you guys think? Is Van Dijk the best defender in the world? If I was to say he is, it'd be based on form and nothing else. Anyways, moving on from Liverpool, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to quickly go through the games that are upcoming. So in particular the Champions League games, so Man United, etc. Very easy game this week. Wednesday having to bounce back from abysmal performance against Wolves in that second half. Yeah, so we're going to go through the Champions League games. Feel free to leave your comments on Facebook Live. I will read them out like I have been doing all show. At any point, if you disagree with what I'm saying, please let me know. Anyways, we'll start with Tottenham v Man City. So first and foremost, Tottenham are playing at home in the Champions League against Man City on the Tuesday. First Champions League game under the lights. Obviously the light show was fantastic as well. The whole spectacle at that stadium was just breathtaking, to be fair, and the atmosphere was amazing as well. We'll just see how long they last in it, because Man City are going to batter. I'm joking. So first and foremost, what do you guys think? Do you think is Man City going to do them over, as in get the result? Do you think the Spurs are going to be able to get a result at home? For me personally, it's very hard to call this one. I think a lot of people have written Spurs off and saying, oh, Man City getting another easy draw. I don't understand how this is an easy draw. I'm not just saying this. I genuinely don't understand how people are knocking Spurs after they got through the group and they beat Dortmund, who were flying in the Bundesliga. People don't give enough respect to Spurs in the Champions League for whatever reason. In a one-off game, Spurs are fantastic. Over accumulated games like in the league, yes, they have a tendency to bottle it, but at the end of the day, it's a one-off game at home against Manchester City. I personally think, first and foremost, Manchester City's defence isn't fantastic. Spurs have got the quality to cause them problems on the break. If you play Son from the start and Lucas Moura up front with Kean, I think that would be the best way. So for me personally, if I was the manager, what I would do is I would do 4-2-3-1. I would play Lucas Moura on the right. Or either way, it doesn't really make a difference. Lucas Moura on the left, Son on the right, Kean up top. I would sit deep and soak up pressure. Pardon me. I would soak up pressure and try to hit them on the break, because Man City love having the ball, and why not let them have it? Yes, I know you are at home, but going toe-to-toe against Manchester City, for me personally, is never really wise, especially in this circumstance, because you don't want them to score an away goal. So even if Spurs were to win this 1-0, you would say, and Man City didn't get a goal, obviously away from home, it would be a very good result for Spurs. So I think Spurs need to be quite, not respecting of Manchester City, but going to this game with a clear game plan, which for me personally would be to soak up pressure and hit them on the break, because they're going to want to dominate the game. That's the only way Pep knows, really, to be honest with you. And Spurs have got the pace to hit them on the break. We've seen with Kyle Walker in particular, his starting position from counter-attack is not acceptable. A lot of the times he gets found out, where he doesn't get found out because of his pace. I think if he gives that same sort of freedom to the likes of Lucas Moura and Son with the pace they've got, I don't think he'll be able to make that recovery run, if I'm being quite frankly honest with you. And at left back, I don't even know who's playing left back for Man City at the moment. I'm not gonna lie. Feel free to let me know. Obviously it changes literally every single week. Is it Laporte? I don't even know. Left back again, he's going to be pushed further up the field as well. So there's an opportunity to definitely get in the channels and cause them a lot of problems. Kean only needs one chance on many games, so I personally think Spurs can cause them a problem. Are they going to win? I think it'll be a draw. I'm going to say 1-1. I think Aguero will score, and I think Lucas Moura will score for Spurs because of his ability on the break. But it'll be an interesting game. I don't think it's as easy as people are saying. I'm hearing a lot of people say, oh, Man City have got such an easy game, which I just think is ridiculous. Anyway, so let's just move on to Liverpool v Porto. Quite comfortable. It's at Anfield. I'm expecting Liverpool to batter Porto. Again, I kind of contradicted myself to an extent, because no game is really easy at this stage in the Champions League. But you've got to look at Liverpool. I think Porto are a couple of years away from having a good team. They've got a lot of young talent, but very similar to Ajax when they play Man United in Europa League. They were not nurtured at that point. Obviously now you've seen the fruits of your labour, so to speak, and the patience that they've shown with these young players. But I just don't think. I think it's a step too big, much for them at Anfield. I'm gonna say Liverpool 3, Porto 0. Feel free to leave your guys score predictions on Facebook Live, anything. Anyways, Ajax v Juventus. It's at Ajax Stadium. This should be an interesting game. Honest to God, I would have wanted Ajax to win this game anyways, but now with the Bonucci and Allegri comments, I hope Ajax beat them. Honest to God, please get a result. Ajax have got a lot of young players and a lot of talent, but not enough experience, which Juventus have got in abundance, should I say. So I'm going to say Juventus 2, Ajax 1. I think it's going to be a very good game, very tight game, but I think Juventus will be too strong for them. Man United v Barcelona at Old Trafford. What can I say? Easy win for Man United. Do I really need to talk about this? Lightweight. 3-0 Man United. No, I'm joking, of course. I'm going to say 2 on Barcelona. I think it'll be a lot tighter than people are giving credit for. Obviously, Messi is going to batter us. We're going to soak up a lot of pressure, but I think we'll score. And then they'll show a bit of class towards the end of the game. Anyways, quickly going to wrap up on the Prem fixtures. Spurs v Huddersfield. Spurs win 3-0. Man United v West Ham. Man U 2-1. Palace v Man City. Man City 2-1. Liverpool Chelsea. I'm going to say 1-1 draw. And then Watford v Arsenal. I'm going to say 1-1 draw. Anyway, it's been your boy Osman. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. I do apologise for the audio problems, but hopefully next week will be fine. Anyways, peace.